Okay, there we go. Oh, I was already wearing it. Okay. Hi, Mr. Kitty. Yoink. All right, that's better. You hear Daddy snoring? He's like, I want more salmon, Mother. You have salmon, Mr. Kitty. Anyway, back at it again. Anyway, I think this background would do. So this is my first book. I wrote by Born in the Eternal series, book 1. And it is about a cranky farm girl and a sunshine vampire, and they're on a journey to reclaim a kingdom he's supposed to be ruling. And so when I started writing these characters, I based their personality types off of Myers-Briggs' different personalities, which is shown here. And that helps me kind of map out like how the characters interact with each other and with the world. And so I have used this pretty effectively in just about every character I've made to date. Now, when I was in school, they tried to explain us personality types based off of this, based off of colors. And that was not very effective at all. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense, and it doesn't really scale very well. It's kind of like the base understanding of how people interact with each other. But this is based off of behavioral science, so it's a little bit more stable. And that's how I use all of my characters in like a little web of how they would interact with each other. Like in Sun and Steel, I'm writing a scene right now where the architect and the builder are they're best friends, but they're at odds. Like how the one guy approaches problems is not necessarily how the other would. And so that causes conflicts between the two of them. And in that conflict is where the story arises of like how you understand how these two people interact with each other and how their friendship transcends these differences and stuff like that, and how they would like make decisions on like what woman they would marry and like how they would raise their children. And that's basically the crux of the whole new book, is like how these characters make decisions and how those decisions affect other people. And in the first book, Moon and Marble, that is more focused on the emotional aspect of those questions, like how the emotions of each of the characters will translate to the others. And um, in the duet Sun and Seal, which is all of the male perspectives, it's how the relationships of those men affect the people around them and how they're like setting everybody up in their lives. Then I also wrote Where the Feedback Ends, which is a little bit less spicy than Bite. Bite's like a 3 out of 5 on the spice scale. But Where the Feedback Ends is, I would say, probably more of like maybe a 1.5 out of 5, somewhere around there. There are some group like funny business in there, but for the most part, it is about these two girls that used to be best friends that are not best friends anymore, and how that affects them and how they interact with the world. And spoiler alert, it's not great for either of them, and sort of how they decide to um, conduct themselves in the world and how they decide to move past those things. So this is actually on sale right now. It's probably at the lowest price ever. I think it's like $1. Um, and that's because I have a few like minor formatting and stylistic tweaks that I'm gonna do to that. But for the most part, like the plot is what the plot is. It's just a real bear to go through and format. So I will be releasing a paperback version here probably in January for that. I'll probably be finished with that by about then. But for now, the ebook is on a super, super sale. The last book I read was Son of the Mob. Oh, nice. Yeah, so eventually I'll write like sort of more of like a criminally kind of book. But I feel like if that's kind of your vibe, you'll like book 2 of the Born in the Eternal series, Thirst. We are dealing with an assassin and a lot of nefarious things, a lot of like kind of like darker romancy things in book 2. I just didn't want to put all of those things in book 1 because it's kind of a lot, and I was trying to keep it under 100,000 words. But book 2 has oh, thank you for the follow. Book 2 has more sort of naughty boys in it than in book 1, and then book 3 is like even darker. But that one is more of like, well, I won't spoil it for you guys, but I am keeping all of these things in my brain, and eventually I will commit them to paper, and then you guys will know what's happening up here. I think we talked about this last stream, but I'm also working on a sci-fi horror book with plant people, and eventually I'll release that probably also in October. Almost all my books release in October because I start writing in the fall, and then I finish writing about the beginning of spring, and then I work with all of the publishers and illustrators and stuff like that. And then I do arc reads throughout the summer, and then release the book in around about October. So that, I think that conducts most of the book business. But I'm also currently working on a cookbook. So we'll be working with my mother-in-law to get all of her recipes out. She has had a restaurant for over 40 years, and she's a trained chef. So that book is highly anticipated, and I'm gonna try and get it released. That one actually is gonna be a much earlier release since it doesn't require a plot. I just have to get all of the recipes formatted, and that doesn't take. Getting the recipes is the hard part. Getting the recipes and photographing the recipes, those are the difficult parts. But putting together a cookbook is actually like such a night and day difference from an actual novel. It's ridiculous. And I would like to have her sign those in, I think the Cherry Festival is in June. So that's what I'm shooting for the release for her book. But that's probably the earliest a book will release. And also you don't really need an arc reader for a cookbook. You just need a cookbook that's good. So that will be releasing much earlier than I will be releasing the rest of my books in my series. Eventually they'll be. Mama's there. No, she is She's you know, she's just like, you know, most chefs, I guess. They don't really write things down. They just kind of keep everything in their head. And it's almost just muscle memory. Like, I bet I could blindfold her and she could make these cookies, but to be like, I'm like, how much sugar do you put in there? And she's like, how much sugar do I put in there? But I have a plan. I have a plan, and it involves CCTV, and then I will get all of these recipes. And worst case scenario, I'll just ask my sister-in-law, and she has a couple of these recipes, and I'll put those in there. It'll be much easier for me to release my cookbook. I have all of those recipes, and I have militantly and precisely recorded those over the last 16 years. So that one will be really easy. I just need to get some like cheeky cute photos to put in there, and then that one will be all donezo. So there will be officially, at minimum, 2 cookbooks on offer eventually on my author website. I'm just gonna put them all together. I refuse to participate in this single genre authorship business. That's not how I do things. So I'm going to have everything. Well, unless I write a children's book. If I write a children's book, that'll be in its own category because I feel like that doesn't really. But everybody cooks. Everybody cooks, and if you can cook, you can probably also read a book. So those will all be in one place. But if I ever released like a child's book or something like that, I guess I would put that in a different place for what I would assume are obvious reasons. But those are in the works for now. And I am also working on getting some DLC for Where the Feedback Ends. Since this is a less spicy book, since Where the Feedback Ends is more of like a 1.5 out of 5 stars for spice, I'm going to release some DLC for these probably around Valentine's Day, actually. I think I could probably smash those out right about then. And that'll be Ren's Little Black Book, and that'll be a DLC available. So if you don't want a spicier version of this book, just buy the regular book. And if you want some of the like extra saucy chapters, those will be available. Same place. I think I can probably even link it to this specifically. But those will be coming out probably around Valentine's Day. I'll give myself a hard deadline for that one. That works the best for me, I guess. And those ones are pretty juicy. I'm gonna have to write those before I like get dementia or something and forget all of them. But eventually there'll be like 22 books, not counting the cookbooks. So it'll be crazy. Yeah, my mom, when it comes to spicy food, you better be ready for it tomorrow. She drenches the food. Yeah. Spicy food is it's hard for me. I did, however, my brother-in-law made a habanero cheese dip for Thanksgiving, and it was phenomenal. It was not too spicy for me, surprisingly. I feel like a lot dairy really cuts the capsaicin because of the oils in the cheese. I feel like that kind of like mutes that quite a bit, and it was really good. So I'm gonna try and get that recipe as well. That'll probably go in my personal recipe book. Very excited for that. My own personal recipe book will also be edited by Squirrel. Squirrel, my cat, is the primary editor for all of these books because she will not get out of my lap until I have completed this task, and then I don't want to move and disrupt her, so I just sit here editing for like 10,000 hours. Because it's like impossible to get a human being to edit your book in this day and age. I've tried. I've tried Upwork. Been banned from there 2 times. Haven't even posted anything. Not really sure what's going on with that. Crazy. Yeah, she's amazing. I honestly thought about giving her an editor credit in the book, but I was like, no, I don't need to like give her too much credit. Like it'll go straight to her head. She's already the Empress. She's very famous on here. In fact, she was the first draft for the emotes once I get officially upgraded to what am I striving for right now? It's affiliate. So for the official affiliate status, you get to do like emotes and stuff like that. And I was going to do one for Squirrel, that's the hype, and it's like all hail the Empress, basically, Empress. And then for another one we have Runts, and then his is just greed. So So when you're like mega looting something or whatever, you just like spam the runs email. And oh, nice, nice. Yeah, I seem to have done a really good job of attracting a lot of cat lovers to my stream, which is awesome. We don't tolerate any kitty cat hate in this stream, which is pretty awesome. I have a whole rant on that. I think it was actually on the rant stream. I think I finally like kept a rant on specifically the rant stream this time. But there's a thing that like some men do where they just like disparage cats and stuff like that, and I'm like, buddy, no, you've picked the wrong dialogue option. Like of all the dialogue options, this one has never led to anything good in the history of ever using it. But I've absolutely at least twice in my life I've considered dating a guy specifically because he has kittens in his house, and I was like, that's wrong. But like in the grand scheme of things, like who's gonna be mad about this decision? No one. Not the cats, not this man, and certainly not me because I'm getting to pet kitty cats later. Um, yeah, kitten season is a missed opportunity for a lot of dudes. If you have like an apartment and kind of like a quasi like hands-off landlord, like foster some cats in the spring. Like the huzz will just appear. Trust. I don't think there was a single time that I had a kitten in my apartment that I didn't have girls like trying to like attack each other for first dibs to come over my house. It was amazing. I think I have more pictures of women holding cats in my apartment than I have of men doing literally anything. Um, just honestly, like pro tip. Yes. Yes, join the cult. And honestly, we talked about this last stream too. There's worse cults to join, okay? This is like, I wouldn't necessarily say this is like wholly like a betterment cult, but like you're a better person for having joined it. You know what I mean? And I don't say that lightly. Like, you guys have made me work out more. Not as much as I need to, but I haven't been doing enough squats because I haven't hit that arc yet. But I have been very precisely doing my macing stuff. I've been doing mace training because of you guys, which is helping my shoulders. My shoulders haven't come out of the socket once since I started doing that, which is awesome. I haven't had a torn trapezius, and I've been typing. I've been typing a bunch. I've been spamming F in chat because that's what saves you from zombies, which I think is a little on the nose, The Last of Us. And I have been doing better on my protein because I have a protein code, and so I've been getting like not any more boy love in the Discord. Yeah, I need to essentially weaponize my to-do list. My cultists keep me on task. It's perfect, fantastic. Like life hack, start a cult, right? And I would have never finished the novel if I didn't have a cult. I would have just like dinked around and been like, okay, that's done. Backdrop folder. But I had so many people that were like, release the novel, we need to read it. And so I was like, okay, cool. I did that. I was certain, absolutely certain, that strangers on the internet were going to massacre me over that book. I was certain that somebody was going to write something so mean, like, this bitch doesn't know anything about the English language. Is this her first language? Oh my god, this is the most terrible slop I've ever read in my life. Strangers on the internet couldn't even be mean to me about it. I mean, this is not helping my grandiose narcissism, let me tell you. Every single time I get a good review on that book, I'm like, I am the greatest. I am a god to these people. And I was like, you know what? Maybe starting a cult was the way to go on this. So then I wrote a second book because I was just like, when is the illustrator going to be done? Nope. Can't bother the illustrator. The lovely woman. She's fantastic. She's done everything exactly to my specifications. A true professional. Like, Rachel Ross, you are phenomenal. I can't wait to work with you again. The person that made the cover for Where the Feedback Ends, they're good. They're good. They are from Babylonia, though, so I'm not like crazy about that. I really love having call me crazy, but I like American artists. I like artists that are stationed in America. I like them to be in the US of A because I like my money getting recycled to the artists of the country that I live in. is what it is. And she did so great. It's so good. And I want to just cram her full of art commissions for the next books that I'm going to write, which means I have to hurry up and write more books. So that means that I'm writing Moon and Marvel, Sun and Steel, and I promise you I will have teasers for those available by Christmas. Maybe not on Christmas, but Christmas adjacent. Those will be ready because I already have like a handful of the chapters in my brain. It doesn't take me that long to write them. I just need to like smash them out onto a page and throw those out there. And hopefully I will figure out how all of these like new authors are getting these incredibly beautiful inserts done for their book. Like there's this like, oh, what is the name of it? But there's this girl, she wrote like some monster fic or whatever, and it's got like gold embossing on all of the pages and like these beautiful like transparency kind of like inserts for the book of like the characters like smooching and stuff like that. And I'm like, that is delicious. But a little much for me. That's a little bit too many frills for a minimalist like me. But you know what? I'll give my money to the artists, whatever. You guys will decide what characters are your favorites, and then I'll cram some more merch into those for you guys, because what is the point? I don't have my water in here. Yeah, no, dopamine. This is a dopamine driven cult for certain. Like down to the dregs, too. Amino essentials. Also, hubby cheated on me today. Yeah, he did. He went to the nutrition store without me, which means he gets to see them twice in 1 week. I only get to see them once on our errand day, that bastard. He sneaked out. He did mini errand trip today. How dare he? He knows errands are for the cow. How dare he? I'm going to have to get extra caffeinated on Tuesday to just really get all of the dopamine out so that I can get all of my tasks completed. Ideally, I will be spending at least 20 hours a week purely focused, locked in writing these books. Because that's how I wrote them in the first place. Which I'm not going to lie, writing a spicy scene in between handing people orders of pie is like a bit of a thrill. Because I'm just like, and then they, oh, yes, hello, how may I help you? Yeah, he went on an errand without me. And then he calls me while I'm in the middle of my shift and he's like, hey, I'm at Costco. Do you want something? And I was just like, excuse me? What? It's just like this sound of like distant artillery in my ears. I'm hearing that like low pitched whine you get when you like shoot something off way too close to your ear. I'm just like, what do you mean you're in Costco? What? Am I ready? No. Do I even remember what's in Costco? Who knows? Did they sell shoes there or something? I can't remember what's in Costco. It has to be on errand day, or I just like completely short circuit like a first generation Tesla robot. We just had a drive-by of the Empress, and I don't know where she went. As was her intention. Oh, you stinky. She like intentionally like sachets away with her like curly tail. She's so dramatic. I love her. But yeah, eventually I would like to incorporate our very special furry editors into, not furry editors, in the cats. My feline companions. I will be putting merch out of specifically these cats. I think that Runch is like the cutest plushie that you could ever like, and ideally, my perfect plushie of Runts is he's like pear-shaped, like gratuitously so. And when you squeeze his little tummy, it says, "Mother, I am hungry," and because he's just like a little glutton, so sweet. And then if I did something of squirrel, I think it would be like a painted like a painted little mask thing or something like that. Like some sort of like painted mask charm of squirrel. I think that would be really cool. I'm experimenting with clay business, so that's what we're working with. But the cats are very integral to this writing process because they've insisted that this is their chair. And so when I sit at it for long enough, they will just like lock me into this chair by sitting down and being the cutest little babies of all time. Like a Holstein kind of a cat. Oh, oh, oh. Yoink. Oh, oh, squirrel, you gotta lay off the churros, sweetie. You're getting a little hard for mommy to pick up. Yes. All right, time to be a fancy cat. This right here, show quality perfection. Oh, squirrel. Squirrel, tell them how you edited both of those books in under a year. Yeah, tell them. She's a genius, and she understands the English language more than she would lead you to believe. She's watched the entirety of The Gentleman. Squirrel is a big fan of historical fiction. She loves period dramas specifically. I've considered, you know how normal people will turn on, you know how, yeah, Squirrel is, um, she's not a cat. We're convinced that she's been cursed by a witch and turned into a cat, but this is not a cat. This right here, this is uh, this is our overlord. This is the Empress herself. Yeah, she runs us. Honestly, it's ridiculous. I'm actually terrified to get those little buttons that people were using to let their cats speak. So it's like you press it and it says treat or it says door outside. I'm very scared to get her those because I feel like she'll just know too much. You know what I mean? I get the impression from this cat that like this is not her first lifetime. Very, very suspicious. We do live on like a crazy volcano too, so I'm starting to think that that whole thing with like volcanoes and human sacrifices and stuff, there might be some validity to it because it definitely feels like some primordial being is like housed within these animals. It's crazy. And like I've had cats before. Like this is not like my first cat that I've ever owned in my lifetime. I've had like thousands of cats because I used to do TNR work. Oh no. Oh, there it goes. Daily stretch. Oh. I can get higher. I can get higher on this too. That's like almost 90 degrees. And that's from doing mace training. Like I don't have a lot of muscle anymore. I've kind of like decreased muscle since I'm not dancing anymore. I used to be like ripped, like absolute like muscle mommy status. I don't know, kind of cardio bunny actually. Because I've never gotten like really big muscly, but like like thick sinewy muscles, like a bit of a deep cut here. But when you get chickens that are meant to be oh nice. Yeah. Yeah, cats tend to be kind of like that. They're sort of naughty little creatures. Weird. Is that where's my Oh, hello, hello, welcome back. But yeah, the cats are not normal. I've had like thousands of cats. I did TNR work. So I fostered like a bunch of cats because you know you have them. You trap them, you have them for a little bit after they have their surgery, and then you have to like assess their personalities and stuff, and that can take like a bit of time. So I think the longest I've ever had like a TNR cat was like 2 months or something like that, where you're just trying to like see if you can like socialize them just a little bit more to get them placed. And I've done that before, yeah. Yeah, the one that got. Yeah, I've had a couple. In fact, most of the time when I get kittens, they're sick. Because if a kitten's healthy, people just want to like give it off. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I think I've only had one. I think I've only had one go down like that. I had a cat that had like a super rare adverse reaction to it was either the stitches or the anesthesia. That sucked. That was not great. But luckily it was back in the day. So of course I immediately like maxed out my credit card. It was ridiculous. And then luckily the gods were smiling on me and I had a fantastic day of being a midnight ballerina, and so that all worked out. But I much rather would have had the cat than to have recouped the loss, unfortunately. But you win some, you lose some. Unfortunately, luckily, I have a less than 1% track record of things going poorly like that. So, I mean, it just all comes down to numbers. But luckily, I've learned a lot of things over that amount of time that has made it so, like, for example, one of my previous roommate's cats, when I got her, she was like on death's door. Like, things were not going well for her. And I took her in, and they were like, oh yeah, like, we're not going to be able to do anything with this cat. Like, this is a surrender, but like, she's not going to make it. Like, we're just going to like kind of call it. And I was like, what are you talking about? She just needs like a saline drip. I was so pissed. This is cool for me now because like I know that she like is like still with us and like has a good life. But at the time I was furious. I was so mad at that place. Because I was like, what do you mean? Like, I just need a bag of saline. Like, can somebody just please write me a script for saline? It's a saline solution. Like, this is not a controlled substance. What kind of a bizarro planet am I on, right? Oh yeah. Yeah. Sometimes that happens. It's crazy how, they'll get sick, but that's also why I advocate for like, yeah, you can make saline solution. Yeah, but I like it was such a like time sensitive thing. I didn't want to risk it. And so I plus also I like needed like the contraption and the setup and I didn't have any of those things. So I was like, can you just guys like I'll pay you for like the cost of this. Can you just like procure me the substances since you're like a hospital? And they were like, no. So I ended up doing like a weird like back alley deal or whatever with like one of my buddies that like had saline solution from like a surgery or whatever, and I was like, perfect. And she was totally, absolutely, completely fine after that, like perfect health. So it was just like so wild to me that you would just like call it on something for such a minor issue, but sometimes that happens in like foster stuff, and it just like boggles my mind. Makes no sense to me why that would go down. But if you get enough knowledge accrued, you can mitigate a lot of those sort of low level problems. Like one time we had a year where it was just like ringworm city. Like every single foster had ringworm and it was ridiculous. I couldn't get a prescription once again. This is like the crux of a lot of problems is like not being able to access like very minimal like stuff. Like I understand why I guess specifically ringworm like sulfur solutions would be controlled because if you use too much of them, it can cause like damage to the liver or whatever. But I'm like, I mean, realistically, if I can pass a competency test, I should not be barred from these substances. Like, if the true reason why they're like withholding these substances from people is because, oh, well, we're afraid like some moron will get a hold of it and not use it right. And I'm like, okay, but like if I can then prove that like medically I'm not a moron, can I just use this life-saving medication for like its intended purpose? Like, what are we doing here? Um, so I eventually ended up like I guess proving my competency. Yeah. I love shop cats. Shop cats are some of the best. And I was always like doctoring shop cats in my youth, and I think that's kind of how I got into it. My grandfather, real big on cats. And guess what? He has less mice in his miniatures and stuff like that. So, I mean, they have their utility. I've had some naughty cats before though. But a lot of that is like can be mitigated through like socialization and stuff like that. And proper medical care. So if you get your barn cats and your feral cats spayed and neutered, they have a lot less behavioral issues, turns out. So anyway, we had this year of just like ringworm city cats. Everybody's got ringworm. And one of the ways that you can check for ringworm is you get a black light. And in a totally dark room, you shine it on the cat. And if they glow neon green, ringworm. That's how you know. And so I'm like, listen, I've done the tests. I know that these cats have ringworm. Can you just give me a prescription? And finally, the vet cut me a break and gives me the solution. And I treat all of these kittens. Every single one of them got a home. And I was so happy and it was so fulfilling. Yes, they do glow. Also, chicken eggs glow. They glow fluorescent pink. So when you raise specifically like barnyard chickens and stuff like that, by the way, thank you, you guys. We are finally at the average right now. If we can maintain 3 viewers for the next, let me see here, for the next 30 minutes, successful stream. So thank you so much for you guys watching. Really appreciate that. You guys are helping us lock in on this affiliate thing, and then we get even more cool stuff that we can do on here. So when you raise chickens, they lay all kinds of different colored eggs. They lay white eggs, they lay cream eggs, they lay brown eggs, they lay green eggs, they lay blue eggs. And when you want your chickens to like lay eggs somewhere, you put fake eggs. So sometimes they're plastic, sometimes they're ceramic, sometimes they're wooden. Although I haven't had a lot of success with wooden eggs or plastic eggs. They really seem to only like the ceramic eggs because they have the correct outer kind of texture, but they're sturdy enough that if the hen steps on them, it won't destroy it. And it like kind of feels more like a regular egg. And since I'm nocturnal, I go and collect all of my chicken eggs at night. So you would put these fake eggs where you want them to lay their eggs. And if you can get them at the right time in their hormonal cycle, they'll be like, oh yeah, no, they lay blue eggs. I'll show you guys some. Right now I'm only getting green eggs because like the chicken that lays the blue eggs is kind of phoning it in or laying somewhere where she's not supposed to. So those eggs just go to Yams, our skunk. He's not a pet skunk. He just lives outside and that's his name. He's basically my neighbor. So when I go to collect the eggs at night, to make sure they're not, yeah, they're naughty. They lay chicken, they lay eggs where they oughtn't. So I go out there with a black light and I shine the light. And if I see something that's like neon pink, I'll put it in the Discord if I can find the picture again. Which also, by the way, if you're new to here, join the Discord. I only stream twice a week. This is a bonus stream right now because we're locking in to do affiliate. But I'm on the Discord every single day. We are almost to our goal. We have a Wordle challenge. So if we get to a 100-day streak on the Wordle, I'm making a from scratch coconut cake with my mother-in-law, and that recipe will be included in the cookbook when it releases. But you guys will get to have a sneak peek in the Discord, which is where I drop recipes of stuff that I'm just like making as we go. And I am considering doing like an honorable mention, like a couple of recipes within the cookbook as well. But I think that is going to be like more of a raffle system. I haven't really gotten into that. However, join the Discord, absolutely. Especially if we have any little like asides and stuff like that in stream, I'll drop those in the stream chat so they're like easily found. But yeah, they do glow bright pink under a black light. So when I have my giant chicken forest garden out there, I can see like sometimes they just like to lay eggs in like the bottoms of my cosmoses, and I'm like, stop that, chickens. Why would you do that? It's because they like to make little dens. So eventually, on my dream farm, I would like to weave like a giant willow dome so that we can do outdoor streams in the winter and also in the heat of the summer. And then ideally we'll have like little critters and stuff that'll be in there. Maybe I can put like a critter cam in there. I think that would be neat. But yeah, they turn bright pink. Egg. Oh, so here's a picture of the different colored eggs. Copy that. And then pop that into stream chat. These are kind of on the lighter end of it, but if I had bred them more selectively, I can have even darker. Like you can get almost like a cerulean colored egg. But I have a Swedish flower rooster who throws a cream colored egg, so he dilutes those colors when they come out. Man, I take like, I would say a good 80% of my photos at night, so there's a lot to sift through. That's crazy. Barn cats, our cats, delicious sandwiches. Ooh, there's yams. Nice. Nope, not that one. Drop that one in the stream chat too. Yams is huge. He's like way bigger than you would imagine a skunk being. Okay, we're to the chickens. Oh, those eggs are so pretty. And pop those in the stream chat too. These is a pretty good mix of like the eggs I kind of get. This is like the spring mix of eggs I get. And then in the winter, I tend to get like almost all chocolate Moran's eggs. So they're like a super dark. Yeah, like the pinker eggs I think are considered a like a cream. But they definitely do have like pinkish like hues to them because of the brown. So it's like essentially like a diluted brown. But yeah, they love laying eggs in the weirdest spot. Like they laid a bunch of eggs in like in the horse trailer and on like the hay rack. Crazy. Maybe it'd be under a coop. Let's see how intelligent my AI is. Almost not at all. Okay. Crazy. Well, I will find that and I'll put that in there. Oh yeah. Yeah, they like to lay eggs in the weirdest spots. Luckily though, I think a lot of my eggs that I don't find end up getting eaten by yams, which is pretty awesome. Yams is such a good boy. I really like when he comes out during watermelon season because I machete open a watermelon and then Yams gets to eat the watermelon. And then pretty shortly after watermelons, we have pumpkins. And so I'm actually going to smash a bunch of pumpkins probably tomorrow. It's today. Yeah, tomorrow's Sunday. So I'm probably going to take a bunch of pumpkins and just like smash them in my field because if I get any volunteer pumpkins out there, then I won't have to drag them over there for the chickens, and I'll get this like beautiful fall vine to go through the garden, which I think will be really fun. Although I do have to contend with, we have a gigantic yellow-bellied marmot named Rupert, and he ate all of my dill. So my initial plan was to make an entirely edible like oasis garden in the desert for these chickens. And I planted dill all over the place and I like kept the chickens away so that like the dill could come up. And then I went out there and there was this humongous, I'm talking like 20-pound marmot out there that's just like looking at me, and he's eaten all of the dill down to the nubs. So I guess I'm just gonna have to build a better fence next year because Rupert, he loves that dill. And oh, what else did he eat while I was? Yeah, I think he ate some of my volunteer garlic too. He ate all of the extra nasturtium I planted and all of the extra kale and lettuce. So I need to make like, yeah. The chickens got what? Yeah. The chickens have like this entire massive garden out there that they get to hang out in, which is awesome because in the summertime, I get these ginormous, and I'm talking like 7-foot sunflowers, like NBA style, just massive sunflowers. Like the leaves are like 2 foot across, crazy. And so in the summertime, they get really tall and then they shade in the summertime when it's really hot. And then in the fall, I machete off of the tops and then they get to eat these like ginormous sunflower seed heads. And even after I saved like a gallon's worth of sunflower seeds, and they still got to eat like a ton. They ate so many sunflower seeds, I think they're sick of sunflower seeds now. But the ones that don't eat that, it brings in like wild turkeys and quail and all kinds of animals. So like my plan in the future is to create like a wildlife sort of habitat nearish the chickens, not so near the chickens that they can get because it's just like is super bad for my deworming schedule and stuff. They get a specific parasite from turkeys called gapeworm. I didn't pick the name, but it's because it goes in their neck, and it's kind of a gross analogy for like what happens because they like gasp for air because their airway is full of parasites. So you have to be very vigilant if you're going to have any kind of wildlife crossover with your birds. So I'm going to have to like kind of space that out ideally, but they all like the same things. The deer come through and they eat all of the squashes and stuff like that. They are also a big fan of, I have like a captive garden of buttonweed out there that I use. Buttonweed, also known as common mallow, is a really good herbal tonic for like cold and flu season, which I didn't know until very recently. And so when everybody in our house got sick this year, I made a bunch of mallow tea for everybody. So I would like to continue doing that. Although I think I would prefer like a more cultivated version that throws maybe bigger flowers and does better in like more of a barrel situation. Oh, nice. Yeah, I've got about 25 chickens right now. I think like in an ideal setup, I think I would max out around 30 or something like that. Because you do have a bit of churn in that. I do have a system where if they get to be over a year old, they just kind of get to retire. Um, because my luck is bad enough that when I hatch eggs, I end up getting about 50-50 hens to roosters. So I had plenty of roosters for like chicken soup and stuff this year. Um, but in the future, I think I would prefer to do turkeys as far as meat birds go. Because it's just chickens are so little to process. I mean, I have kind of little hands already, but it was really hard to like process them. You know what I mean? Um, Whereas a turkey, I feel like it would just be such a breeze because, like, for the most part, I'm just gonna skin them anyway. I don't think I'm much for plucking, although I don't mind plucking, but I'm not really like a chicken skin kind of person. I'm probably just gonna panko bread it anyway. So if you just like chuck them like a jacket, it's like a 5-minute process time. But the internal mechanisms of the bird are what take up quite a bit of time because you have to be very meticulous to not like nick or snag something because then that'll like just make a whole mess everywhere. And then I'd also eventually like to have a nice mean goose that hisses and chases me about because they have some of the best eggs for making pasta noodles. So a nice goose to make pasta noodles out of, and also they're great guard animals, these geese, because they're really noisy. And what has Max been up to? I don't know. I am planning on doing a bit of a Friendsgiving with them, but his wife Harper is about to be in active labor. So I'm trying to find a good time to get on over there and see them. But they actually put out a movie. Yeah, so far I've just done like cervical dislocation for processing the birds, and that's been kind of a treat because everything just sort of collects in sort of the cervical cavity. You know what I mean? If you catch my drift, and it creates a lot less mess. I think in the future, if I was like optimizing this project, if I was optimizing this process, because I was only doing like one or two a night, I would have like specifically a like a clothesline situation for that, and then just like put them on like a wire or whatever to like hold them and stuff. And then also, I would like to either have an Angora rabbit if I get a smaller portion of land on the smaller end of the portion of land that I'm looking at, or Angora goats on the larger aspect of land. And I'd like to have a couple of alpines as well, because my ideal goal in the future, this is like the manifest goal, is to make like holiday gift bags for everybody. So I weave like a willow basket, and then I put like jams and preserves, and I make like this fantastic apricot salsa in the spring. I guess like spring, summer-ish, like that window, to make this fantastic apricot salsa that I would love to jar. And then I put that all in the jar. Maybe if I get, once I hit the either rabbit or goat arc, I would also put in like a crocheted like beanie or like headbands in there. Because I don't really think that, I'm not a big fan of gloves because you always get them dirty. You know what I mean? But if I did rabbits, I think I would probably do like a leather, like maybe rabbit mittens. I would be very interested in that. I just don't think I'm like in like the part of my journey where I could like efficiently cull a rabbit. So that is why I don't have rabbits. But I think it would be cool to be able to do that. I just don't think I have it in me personally. Maybe not yet. Maybe I just need to like get 40, and then like the concept of processing rabbit won't be so difficult for me to think through. And then I would like to do again the homemade goose noodles, and then have all of that in like this wonderful little picnic basket that I send out for the holidays. And then that's just like something I cycle through all year long as like kind of a treat for having completed like my yearly novels. I like put together these little holiday baskets, and that'll be phenomenal. And ideally, I'll be able to do all of that. I like ducks, but I don't have any because we have eagles here, and that is their favorite to-go snack. So, although one of the ladies that lives up the street has ducks, but she has to, yeah. I think I prefer turkey eggs to duck eggs, and duck meat to goose meat. So I'm gonna have to take all of that in consideration because like you gotta have a plan for where they go. You know what I mean? Like not you can't have everything retire on your farm. Sometimes things have to have like a natural end date to their career on a farm, which is one of the things we used to talk about in that class I was telling you guys about where where we watched Home on the Range, and I was like, guys, a farm is not what you guys have been led to believe. Like there are like very real lasting consequences. Like the dialogue options like matter a bunch, which maybe in some strange way is why like Telltale games, like the choices matter games, because I'm like, oh my gosh, like this concept is like so relevant to my day to day. Like for example, earlier in the year, I think we talked about this last stream, but you're new here. I'll loop you in. I had this barn cat that just got dropped off because that's the nature of living rurally. Is invariably someone will drop an animal off that's just like in the middle of nowhere, presumably, and they're like, it's fine, it lives on a farm now, and I'm like, that's not usually how it goes. Um, Sometimes they integrate, but sometimes they're just like terrified in a new place and have no idea what's going on. So luckily, I have structured this area to be like relatively predator free because I patrol at night with a spear and the coyotes recognize game. Something primordial in them is like, no, leave this hairless ape alone. She is a threat to us. So this is her territory. And I'm like, game recognized game, coyotes. And so this cat shows up, and my immediate first response anytime an animal gets dumped off is get them fixed. Because even if they escape, then they don't make more animals that have no idea what's going on and like create a continual problem in the area. And sometimes a lot of their behavioral issues can be solved by them just getting fixed. Like one of my neighbors has a dog that's like not neutered. And I guess intact is the way that you would say that. But he has a dog that's intact. And this dog is a menace. It's just going all over the place, running all over the place. It's got so much energy. It just causes problems. It gets into things. And I'm like, if this dog was neutered, I feel like you would have at minimum a 20% decrease in that. And then this dog would be like, everybody would be so much like more chill around this dog because it would be causing significantly less problems. Like you guys, it's a night and day difference, like most of the time. Some of these animals are just like demons on the earth and like they just like have the worst personality on the planet. But that's like just such a minute amount of these. So this cat shows up and it is a literal demon clothed in cat flesh. And I'm just like, hey, little kitty. And I'm like I've got like thousands of hours logged in this animal handling experience. I've got like a +6 to animal handling. So I'm just like, oh, hi, kitty cat. Everything's good. Everything's fine. And this cat wants my blood. So I go and I immediately make an appointment with the vet. I'm like, hello, handsome doctor. That's one of the like perks to be doing TNR is the doctor is incredibly handsome. 10 out of 10. If he did a calendar like Robert Irwin, that vet's office's bills would be paid, let me tell you. And so, oh, nice. Yeah, my dog previously, Sunny, best dog ever, RIP to the goat. He hated birds, hated him so much, but he respected me. So when we got this abandoned chicken coop, it had 2 roosters in it. And I opened the thing and he's like, oh my gosh, there's a chicken in here. And he goes to immediately get it. I'm like, no, Sunny, those are our chickens. And he goes, oh. I don't know when somebody decided we had chickens, but like, okay, all right, sounds good. Oh yeah, our cat's Squirrel is very racist against dogs. She's such a toad. So anytime my roommate's dog is in a room, she acts like it's the most disgusting. She's like, the dog is in here. He smells. Oh, he's near me. Like if he's in front of a doorway, she just like acts like she can't. Like just jump over him, Squirrel. Like it's fine. But she's just like, what if I touch the dog? He's so gross. And she's always like that with every dog. It's ridiculous. Even though like she was raised with a dog that like couldn't care less there were cats in the house. So she just, I don't know, she just has some innate like stigma against dogs or whatever. Even though that dog defended her, which was very sweet. This same neighbor's dog that's like unruly and ridiculous. I was like doing some fencing outside. And of course the cats and the dog come with me. And this neighbor dog comes over and he thinks he's going to chase our cat because that's fun. And he's got clearly a bunch of like a bunch of testosterone that's like, hey, I should do bad naughty stuff because like that's what testosterone does. And my dog was like, absolutely not. And he totally squared up with this dog, and that other dog was like, I don't want none of this. And he quit completely. And then Squirrel was like super sweet to him for the week, but she's never gotten over her like attitude against dogs, which is crazy. But so anyway, we get this barn cat and she wants my blood. Oh, hello. I wish I knew Russian, but I do not. But I know enough to know that that's probably in Russian. So hello. Hello, Russian person. I appreciate you joining the stream. I did want to learn Russian, so it's not outside of the scope of things that I would potentially learn some in the future, but don't currently know any. And so we get this cat, and I call the handsome doctor up, and I say, handsome doctor, I need to have this cat fixed. And then I call up my other buddy, and I'm like, hey, I have another cat that I need to take in anyway. I'll take in like a handful of yours if you want. I'm only driving up there once. And he's like, okay, sounds good. So I turn off. I go out there with this cat, and I'm trying to load her into the carrying case because they have to go specifically in a live trap because of the way that they inject the sedative for cats like this. Because a regular cat can just go in a regular crate and then go to the doctor's office. But a feral cat has to go in a specific type of cage because they have a specific type of like thing that like squishes them kind of against the trap so that they can put the sedative in the right place for them. So, oh, nice. Sitting on the couch. Oh yeah, the cats are so naughty. Our cats used to bully the dog. He had like a robot feeder because I don't understand the concept of time just generally. Why the stream's always late. I just like I'm like, oh, that's like 5 minutes from now, and then I blink and it's like 5 minutes ago. So that's how that goes. And they would hear the robot and run down the stairs and skid to a stop in front of the dog and then just start eating his food as fast as they can. One of the cats with her actual hands. She scoops it up with her hands and carries it to her mouth, which I'm like, that's weird. Cats don't do that, but these cats do, and it's super weird. So this cat, I go out there, Mink, I call her because she's from the river, like a little mink. And she immediately tries to bite me through like falconry gloves. She's like trying to like rip a piece out of me, trying to claw through my like double canvas pants, and she wants my blood. And I'm just like, no, come on, like it's cool, it's fine. I take her to this handsome doctor. He gives her exemplary reproductive care. I take her back. And wow, she's all drugged up. I'm like, oh, sweet kitty. And she's like, I will fight God to get at your throat right now, woman. And I'm like, no, sweet kitty. Oh, you're going to have the best food. And I give her some smoked salmon, and I'm sweetly talking to her. And then for the next 30 days, I twice a day give her like the sloppiest, most delicious wet food this cat could possibly ever dream of. It's like pureed quail, fancy duck, chicken. I'm giving her like homemade bone broth. I'm like, here you go, kitty. Oh, you love this. It's so good for your coat and skin because she had like a bit of a sunburn or something like on her like nose where she'd like maybe been scraped or something, maybe been thrown out of a car. Who knows? A lot of these poor animals have very, very terrible origin stories. It makes me very sad to think about. But what I can control is how that story, for the most part, either has in its middle arc or towards its end, which is me giving them the best medical care I could possibly give them and then hoping and praying that they choose domestication so that I can maintain that. Because sometimes they just choose to live outside. Like we have this one barn cat named Loaf, and she refuses to go inside. And I'm like, please go inside. We have coyotes, and they venture closer to the perimeter in the winter months. So it would just make me more comfortable and you more warm for you to just go inside very briefly in the winter. Just like enjoy this cheeky little spot in front of this in the black and white packages. Do I have more yams at the house? Confirmed yams at the house. I've got more yams than I know what to do with. I do need to set my little trail cam out there so we can get more yams pictures. But I digress. This cat will not go inside, and I've got a cheeky little spot picked out inside of the house. I bought a cat flap for Grandma so that the barn cats can come inside, and they have to be on their best behavior, or I will have to remove that. But so far they've been very diplomatic with it. And the one cat, Doppelsnarf, which looks just like Squirrel except isn't. She has learned that if she meows at Grandma, she can force this old woman to wake up in the dead of night and restart the wood stove. So good for her. She's learned the power of human speech and telepathy and also leveraging noise for attention. So there's like a perfect spot for all the barn cats to just come in from out of the cold and they are able to see everything and they're nice and warm. And better yet, a coyote is not going to come through the cat flap because it's unfamiliar and scary and stinks of human in there. Yes, perfect. So I've tried for the better part of the last 3 years to get this cat to get the memo that every other cat has gotten, which is inside is good and outside is okay, I guess. All the best food is inside, all the best drugs are inside. Every couple of weeks, I cut a bale of catnip and I just roll it out like the most precious kitty ganja they've ever seen. I'm making like burrito-sized cat joints for these guys. And still, She refuses domestication. She lives in an arborvitae bush with yams, the outdoor skunk, and that's her creature comforts. That's all she wants, that's all she needs, and she doesn't need this life. So when I go, yeah, absolutely. And I am planning to make an even bigger patch of it last, because I'm pretty sure I harvested a bunch of seeds from it. So I'm kind of clumsy when I harvest those particular seeds because once they get dry, like they're very delicate, and I have like netting that goes over it. And when they grow through the netting and I try to remove them, it like sprinkles seeds everywhere. So I got like a half pint worth of catnip seeds. So I'm going to take those half pint of catnip seeds and put them in a different place and try and grow like essentially a hillside of catnip that I can like mow like grass every couple of months. And then, well, every couple of months, if I fertilize it properly, every couple of weeks. And then the rest of the catnip I have underneath straw right now. So it'll pre-emerge. So it'll come up earlier than everything else. And then I just remove the straw once it gets warm enough, and it'll just like, because the moment it hits the sunlight, it just like explodes. So a couple of weeks, would it have been a couple of weeks ago? Or was it a week ago? Once again, I have no concept of time math. So I go out there and I shine my spotlight over, and what do I see? Two glowing eyes underneath this broken down van. And I was like, oh my gosh, my day is getting infinitely better. And not only is it Mink, the river cat, but she is chirping and doing her like, oh, look at me. Oh, she does a couple barrel rolls. She does like little biscuits on, and she's just like being so adorable. She looks like a cat, like in like a pet store window, but only 6 feet away from me. She's like, no flash photography, stay back there. And that's because Doppelsnarf, Squirrel's cousin sister, because let's be honest, if you're not getting your barn cats fixed regularly, they're probably inbred. Not a good deal. Not great for vet bills, also. These cats cost like 20 to 30% more than a regular cat. So I go out there and I have, over the course of several months, noted that one, Doppelsnarf beat the tar out of Mink. She was just like, you don't belong here. You're an intruder. Blood in, blood out. And so she beats this cat up. But then, because low key, I think the cats form gangs. Like, I really do. Because the orange cats hang out with the orange cats, the tabby cats hang out with the tabby cats, and the calicos and the torties all rock with each other. So, like, these animals are forming little gangs against my will. Even the chickens. The brown chickens stay with the brown chickens, the black chickens stay with the black chickens, the colored chickens stay with the colored chickens. I didn't do that. I didn't segregate them. They just do that. Yeah, the orange cats are fantastic. These are my first orange cats, by the way. I used to only have tabbies or like tuxedos or black cats, and these guys are so fun and sweet. Like, so fun. This entire farm is like very orange cat centric, and this is like magic to me. I've never been in I've never been in a place that's mostly orange cats. There is a lady that lives in the Midwest, I think, they bought a farm and it had 13 orange cats on it. So there are farms that have more orange cats, but I think over a long enough period of time, they all become black cats because black is like such a dominant pigmentation. Orange is really hard to do because it's orange plus orange makes orange. He's laying on hubby right now, and hubby's asleep. If I go and pick him up, I'm putting my life in danger because they both startle. They're both very high alert animals. So I'm lucky I stole his drink. He's so cute. He loves daddy so much. Right now, what he's doing is he's laying over hubby possessively and giving me like occasional side eye if my noise gate gets towards the upper, he like just squints his eyes at me like, you noisy bitch, how dare you interrupt my nap with Papa. And I'm just like, easy now, Mr. Runts. I turned a heaty blanket on for you. I'm being as respectfully quiet as possible during a scheduled stream time, I might add. Although we got about another 15-20 minutes until we end this so that we can get the proper algorithmic send off. And then Runts will get to have his perfectly quiet end nap time. But we're doing great, you guys. I think that we are hitting the metric, and we have to do 2 more of these, and then I won't have to deal with any of that gatekeeping nonsense anymore, because I create quality content, and I'm sure you guys have already assessed that. I'll yap for days, yap for weeks, yap for centuries. And I'm very close, mother. So we're gonna do great things here, but first we have to break through this crazy internet caste system so that we can get into the real throes of power, so that we can grow the cult to 5,000 strong. And then I can just spend all of my days yapping at you guys and putting out books, because that is my lot in life. Because witchcraft doesn't pay the bills. And I don't think anybody would just let me like be like an old timey like medieval apothecary, because I think they used to burn those at the stake. So like, imagine getting everything you wanted and someone just goes, witch, and you get burned at the stake. Wouldn't that be crazy? I'm trying to evolve so bad, you guys. It's hard out here. Can a bitch just live, you know? Like, I honestly was worried that I was gonna have to hit my like Nick Fuentes arc just to like get some freaking traction. Like, Jesus, like, do I have to make the inside thoughts outside thoughts so I can grow this cult? This is crazy. But I have made a firm no politics rule, because like, you guys will be able to maybe like, you know, bully me into that in the future when we got like a couple more ranks on here. But like, I feel like while we're small, we should probably keep it to like, we got to build the lore. You know what I mean? We got to build the foundations of the cult before we get into like more radicalizing things. You know what I mean? I got to really put some sweat equity into this before we get into like the problems of the world. You got to start at home. And what we're starting with is I need to work out more and write more books. And that's for you guys. That's for you guys. Because I think I've touched on this before in the beginning. Hello, welcome. I think I've touched on this before, where I'm starting to have this like really fucked up conspiracy that like writing books puts like 50 pounds of weight on you, because like every person that I've met that's written books like this is just like just ballooned immediately after it. And I don't know if that's just the stress of writing a novel or the like residual income from like royalties being like turned into like sweet roll purchases or something, but I'm going to try and subvert that very troubling trend I'm seeing by getting absolutely jacked for every book that I write. Like, I need to be stronger for every book, because one of the problems that I had with writing the first book is that I pulled my trapezius being weak as shit. So we're going to avoid that, because I think, well, who was it? I think it was Asmongold said something like, I do things that are better for me so that I can stream, because I don't like not being able to stream. And I'm like, wow, okay, fair enough. So if I just like work, oh yeah, so this one is just a YapCast, but I am gaming on Mondays and Fridays. So for everybody that's new here, just a real quick recap. This is a bonus stream so that I can do a push for the affiliate accreditation, I guess. So usually I stream Mondays and Fridays from about 8 p.m. to like 2 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. And currently the series that we're working on right now is The Last of Us Part 2. The one we just recently completed was The Last of Us Part 1, so we're finishing out this franchise, I guess, for The Last of Us. And then previously we did The Wolf Among Us. We did it as a streetwise detective, although unfortunately for the first third of the audio on that, I lost for the game. So apologies for that if you're watching that. But then the next 2 things that we have on the docket is either, I want to say, the Walking Dead Telltale series, because I really like the Telltale, like, choose your story-driven, choices matter. That's what I was looking for. The choices matter because 1, it makes it really great to yap, and 2, it makes it really good for me to put with, like the concepts that I'm writing about and stuff, like the dynamics between people and stuff. And then we also have Killer Frequency, which is a horror, like mystery sort of detective game, I think, because I think you guys really enjoyed that. Yeah, Wolf Among Us was good. I thought I heard some buzz that the Wolf Among Us 2 was gonna come out, so I thought that was gonna be pretty sick. But I think all of the people that were really like pulling their own weight at Telltale moved over to Ad Hoc and then just put out Dispatch. And then I think they're doing, they're working on a new series now after Dispatch, but they haven't. I want them to just get the IP for Wolf Among Us 2 and just like peel that away from Telltale, because Telltale is just like, I guess I can't say that on camera. That's a little bit much, but they're just standing there with all this IP that everybody's just like lusting after, and they're doing nothing with it, which is like, you know, so many times you see companies just have like a terrible management system, and that just like, you know, guts the whole company. But yeah, so those are the things that are kind of on the docket for now. And then I'm also producing 2 more books here in the near future. I will be having some samples for the new duet series, Moon and Marble, and Sun and Steel, which is an Asian billionaire romance series that I'm doing. And those will be available. I'll have some cheeky little samples available for around Christmas time on those. Then I will also be putting out the DLC for Where the Feedback Ends, the lost spicy chapters on those, called Ren's Little Black Book, and that will be available probably exclusively on my PayHip, because I don't want to have to like publish that all over the place. But those will be available around Valentine's Day. I'm gonna put it in my calendar right now, you guys. That way we have a firm date for that. January, February. Release bonus chapters. Quote, Ren's Little Black Book. I see where feedback ends first. And then I'm gonna alert week before. Okay. Alright. That's in the works there. And yeah, I mean, eventually we'll have so many books. We'll have a tarot card series. We will ideally have at least like 1 or 2 just like sort of variety shows that we do. I'd like to do a cooking show semi-regularly. I think that would be cool, especially because we can talk about the cookbooks on that. I would also like to do like sort of a farming channel, like sort of a behind the scenes, like day in the life kind of business, where I just get to yap about chickens and goats and all kinds of stuff. Maybe I show you guys frogs. I like doing that. And then what is the other one? Yeah, also just like writing stuff. Like, so eventually we'll have games, writing, cooking, behind the scenes like farm girl shit, and it'll be like a whole sort of cinematic universe within the cult, and you guys will have non-stop entertainment, and I will be able to justify my nonsense life and just create more cultish things. Hey, I think I'm forgetting something. Like, I had one more thing that I wanted to tell you guys. And we're in the last like 10 minutes of this, so this is like the perfect time to do so. What was the last thing I wanted to tell you guys? Oh, I remember. So speaking of Mink, tomorrow her Heat Wall comes in, and I will also be streaming, or I will also be editing together a clip of her new barn cat situation MTV Crib style. So you guys will get to see how she's living. And hopefully I'll get to eventually show you the journey of me being able to pet her. Because she literally goes from wanting like to consume my jugular as her morning breakfast, to doing these cute little chirps and barrel rolls and little biscuits. And then hopefully one of these days, ideally in the spring, because what I like to do is hopefully my roommate will help me hook up all of the internet back over to the coop and the greenhouse just in time to do spring gardening and reading situations out there, because I like to do audiobooks and seeding. So hopefully in the springtime picture this, we'll be in the greenhouse. I'll be planting all of my flowers and like putting together pots and growing ginormous sunflowers for God only knows why. And then there'll be this little torty cat there that you'll be like, oh my gosh, who's that? And then you'll get to see the journey of her going from an absolute savage to a domestic little princess that's like, where is my little tuna fish snack? And you'll get to see me like taming a wild animal essentially in real time. And I think that will be so badass. Oh yeah. Yeah, my dog was really good about that. He had this thing where Sunny was phenomenal. I found him in the middle of nowhere in the desert in Utah, and he became the best dog on the planet. He was like a super good herding dog, and he was just generally a bit of a little character, but a good boy. And for whatever reason, he would choose to do his business in the middle of a field. So you'd be like, I'd be doing like farm girl shit. I'd be like fixing a fence or whatever, and the dog would be over here like, getting after a gopher or whatever, being a good dog. And I'd turn around, where's the dog? Nowhere to be found. And I'd be like, where did the dog go? I get out my binoculars. He's in the middle of a field doing his business because he was like, oh, it's impolite to do your business on a public thoroughfare or a public walk path. So he would go clear into the middle of the field, do his business, and then just book it. Like just run as fast as his little legs could carry him, and then he'd be back where you're at. Because he's like, oh, wouldn't want to be impolite and have somebody step on my leavings. Like I'm such a polite. Nobody taught him to do that, by the way. He just did it for whatever reason. It was so awesome when I finally rented a house in Boise a couple of years ago, because I would just have this patch of grass like to the side of my yard that I would just leave longer than the rest of it. And then he believed that that was a pile of weeds. And so he would go and do his business over there and then leave the main part of the yard completely unscathed. And he didn't like doing his business like at the park and stuff like that. He's like, this is a little too developed for what I'm about to do here. And so he would just insist upon going to like the edges where people like weren't using the weed whacker, or like the patchy grass that like wasn't manicured or maintained, which he's kind of like flexing on the gardener a little bit at that point. He's like, this doesn't look maintained, seems like a job for me. And he's just such a funny guy. But if I could figure out how to replicate that, I would train every dog that I've ever pet at that, because that is so amazing. Like 10 out of 10, best dog. I've only ever seen that done for like guide dogs for the blind, where they teach them to go piddle in like a squared off part of the yard with like little flags, so that the blind person knows like where they've done their business, because it's like a sectioned off area. Because if you imagine you can't see, you wouldn't know where the dog's done his business. It could be presumably anywhere. So they train them to just go in a certain area. And I don't know if he just like telepathically gained that information from me or whatever, but 10 out of 10 best trait that dog had. Other than that dog just like being amazing and fantastic. He's a great little herding dog. He was also beefed the most with gophers that I've ever seen an animal in my life. He would like, oh my god, he hated gophers so much, but such a good dog, such a good dog. The likes of me finding another dog that can that even compares to him is just he's definitely gonna be on the wall of fame for probably forever. I'm gonna have a an oil painting of all of the animals for my study, and he's definitely going to be in a place of honor there. But to leave it on a happier note, I will be planning out my spring garden because this is the perfect time to purchase all of your seeds for when you're going to start. Because one thing that I learned is that you should probably be starting in about January with all of your seeds, especially in a place over here. This is like, I think, zone 7. It gets quite cold over here. So I'm going to have to start all of my flowers very early if I want them to be harvestable by Mother's Day, which was my original goal that I completely shot past and missed. But yeah, so again, not sponsored by them, but love this company. Maybe in the future we'll be sponsored by them. That would be really cool, especially when we're doing like farm business in the future. That'll be awesome. But yeah, if you guys like to garden, check them out. They're super cool. Company that I really enjoy. And I will be getting onto writing some chapters so that I can get those out for Christmas. But I'm probably going to call it for this bonus stream so that we can keep that average, because we are going to push for affiliate. We're going to do a short stream at the beginning of Monday's stream and at the beginning of Friday's stream that's very similar to this. It's just kind of going to be on repeat. So some tips, some pointers if you guys would like to help out being in the cult. If you don't want to listen to the same spiel again, totally understand. Don't blame you. But leave the browser open, mute the tab, not the stream, which hates that, I guess, and doesn't count that towards our goals. And then once we hit affiliate, like, everybody that helps participate, you know what? I'll give you a +1 in the Discord because you guys are helping me out. And then we can finally be rid of this weird hoop to jump through. And then we can get on with doing the things that are important, like growing the cults, writing more books, and playing more games. So I have been Riley Byrd, your host, and I appreciate everybody that came in and everybody that has supported. Definitely follow on your preferred platform. Also, join the Discord. I may only technically stream about twice a week, Mondays and Fridays, but I am on the Discord every single day. So absolutely check out the link to that. I believe I have a link in both of my bios for that. And I will see you guys on